But just to give you a little overview, this business strip here, which you've probably circled, we've renovated we've overseen the renovation of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these buildings along the strip, and you can see which ones they are. And it's kind of our bread and butter kind of work we do. Right here is this is a 6-story, the Atlas building. You can see from behind. It's mixed income, financed through tax credits and historic preservation. It was vacant for about 20 years before we took it over. This house with the kind of turquoise siding is one of our single-family lease purchase homes, and we've done over 400 in the neighborhood, 450 over the past 20 years, and we've sold about 100. It's a 15-year program, and this program is really what has held the neighborhood together, has saved our fabric, because the homes are fully renovated. So instead of being a kind of a shaky house or the worst house on the block, they're the best house on the block. Families have stable housing and a lot of oversight. Many families stay there long enough to actually take title to their homes at the end of the 15 years. But what's most telling for us is that if you go to any one of the neighborhood events or meetings or leadership and around the room, typically it's the families that are in the lease purchase housing that are the leaders. Not because we make them, but because they naturally are, they have their housing taken care of. They're able to be real strong residents for us, strong leaders. So we'll keep walking this way, and I'll see if I can get you to a rough part. We've made the transition in 1990. We had a very high percentage of seniors. And in the year 2000 census, we are one of the few neighborhoods in Cleveland that did not decline in population, and it was because of young families. So we've made that switch. For us, marketing used to be publicity, which is like doing flyers and getting the word out about one event or another event. But what we realized is we need to focus more on branding and image building and how people feel about their neighborhood. And there's, is anybody familiar with the Healthy Neighborhood Strategies out of Baltimore? About 3 years or 4 years ago, one of our funders, Neighborhood Progress Inc., brought in David Belke and exposed us to the Healthy Neighborhoods concept of you don't really want to organize around issues, you want to organize around assets. And for us, this was a huge light bulb, because a lot of us live in the neighborhood, and it's not very much fun to organize all the time around problems, but it's not a sustainable long-term relationship building strategy. It's about let's get angry and solve the problem and then everybody goes away, or let's get angry and we can't solve the problem and everybody goes away. So our approach was to say, well, you know what is it we want to do? Basically we said, and this was at the height of the foreclosure crisis in 2007, you know, what are we going to do now? Let's just amuse ourselves. Let's make this neighborhood a place where we like to live and where we're having a good time, and then other people will enjoy it. And that's really about what the marketing is, you know, making people feel good about where they live. That's what's the most important thing. And so it really is true for us. Everything we do every day is marketing. So this is the old Czech church, and this is the factory housing that was built. And really you have to think about so much, to keep perspective about neighborhoods and how they evolve. They're always changing. You know, the Irish got pushed out by the Polish, and the Polish were brought in to bust the Irish unions in the 20s. And the mill owners built the most god-awful housing, and the housing was set up for, should have been torn down 30 years ago, but it's still standing. That was the worst housing, was the stuff that got grabbed up in the foreclosure crisis, in the subprime lending. How you doing? So it was the worst housing that got overfinanced, and at the end, that was the housing that got abandoned the most quickly, that got destroyed the most quickly, that we got torn down. So from our perspective, really, one hidden advantage of the foreclosure crisis was that it got the worst housing out of circulation. And here, you know, a house that has that kind of a foundation, in this kind of a condition, there's just no reason to save it.
Right.
if there's not the demand, and there's never going to be quality product. Now the house next door to it has a bigger foundation, has some.
It's got a basement, right?
The house next door.
Yeah. What's the plan for this land then once that comes down?
Well, good question. You've probably heard about reimagining a more sustainable Cleveland. So we're huge proponents of that. In this area, what we think has to happen is new construction, because it is so close to. There's a charter school there. There's a terrific Montessori nursery school. There's a new elementary school being built, brand new public elementary school. Very close to the bus line. So this is a place where you can live really well if you don't have a lot of money. You can also, or if you don't want to own a car.
But then you're thinking about this strategically, so as you were saying, this location has more potential for housing depending on when the market and demand increases, as opposed to green space, or conceivably you might leave some of the vacant lots for pocket parks or something like that.
Not necessarily. It's very reasonable. Yeah.
What about a house in there?
Owner occupants only, though.
The reason this is for sale, this is an old lease purchase, 15-year, year 15. That for one reason or another the family didn't buy, so now they have to sell it. That's why it has to be owner occupants. About 10 years ago, we started to be able to build new construction, so that changed how we began to think. And then we've layered on to that. Really, though, for us, what we've layered on is quality of life type stuff, like parks and green space and green belt buffers. So, for instance, this right here on the corner. And usually this does look a lot better. It's because it's the end of the season and the city hasn't been through to mow. Their last mow was in August. But there was a big brick building on that corner it was an old nasty apartment building that went all the way to the corners and completely blocked. So this is a place where I said we don't like to do parks because you don't have to, because of maintaining it, but this is a place where, working with the residents, we can do a nice job.
Hey babe, take a walk on the wild side. I said, hey Joe, take a walk on the wild side.
It's a classic one. Something else that's important for us because in Slav is green belt buffers, because we have about a third of our land use is industrial. So how can we use this land to create new buffers for and improve the quality of life?
Could you give us just a short overview of what you're referring to as the Green Belt program?
Well, a green belt is something, actually I grew up in a fancy suburb in Cincinnati.
Oh, really?
And,
hey, dogs.
I think those are guard dogs.
and they had something called a green belt, which was like ring to the suburb, it was all green. So if you have, the Savannah project that I submitted was backed into a very busy road.
Yeah.
So the houses there, it was really not a great place to live because they backed into a busy road. They got torn down, and what do you put there? Well, put something that helps kind of block.
Right.
This is the bike trail here.
Where we're standing?
This is where we kind of made our transformation from beer and pierogies and blue collar to being an active, living, healthy neighborhood. And it was a conversion of a rail line that got abandoned to a trail, and it's now kind of the heart and soul of what we do. We have a lot of activities. We have a run in the summer, a 5K run. We do bike-a-thons, and we have bike safety events for kids and so forth on it. And it connects. It's a commuter route. And it's for exercise. It connects the Boys and Girls Club with a new elementary school that's being built just to the south of here.
Okay.
And then it connects all the way over to Washington Park and the golf course.
So how long is it total?
It's this chunk through our neighborhood is just 3 miles, but it actually connects to the towpath, which runs another 100 miles south.